in the stillness of the forest, with only the sounds of nature surrounding them. A hiker and his loyal dog are about to face a terrifying encounter that will test the limits of bravery and survival, with danger lurking in the shadows. Only one question remains. Would the bond between man and dog be enough to survive? Aaron had always found peace in the forest. The quiet rustle of leaves, the distant chirp of birds, and the cool, crisp air made hiking his favorite escape. Today, the sun hung low in the sky, casting a soft golden hue on the forest floor. He and Max, his German shepherd, were venturing further than usual, enjoying the serenity that only the wild could offer. Max, a strong and loyal companion, was always by his side, his deep brown eyes scanning their surroundings with keen awareness. Today, however, Aaron couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. The air was thick with an odd tension, as though the forest itself was holding its breath. Aaron glanced at Max, who had suddenly stopped walking. The dog's ears were perked up, his body rigid with alertness. Max had always been a perceptive animal, sensing danger before it became apparent to humans. Aaron bent down to meet his dog's gaze. "What is it, boy?" Aaron asked softly, his voice calm despite the uneasy feeling growing in his chest. Max didn't respond. Instead, he growled low in his throat, a sound that seemed almost unnatural. Aaron's heart skipped a beat. There were no other hikers around, and they hadn't heard any unusual sounds. But Max's behavior said otherwise. He instinctively knew something was wrong. The wind shifted slightly, carrying with it the faintest scent of something unfamiliar, something wild. Aaron scanned the woods, his eyes narrowing as his senses heightened. The silence was deafening, and then it came. A deep, guttural growl reverberated through the forest, sending a chill down Aaron's spine. Max's body tensed even further, his eyes locked onto the trees ahead, his growl intensifying. Aaron felt his pulse quicken. He knew whatever was out there wasn't friendly. Max, always the protector, stepped forward, placing himself between Aaron and the unknown. Aaron's heart raced, and for a moment he froze. What could it be? Suddenly, from the shadows, a massive shape emerged, its movements calculated and fluid. A mountain lion. It stalked slowly toward them, its powerful body barely visible through the dense foliage. Its eyes glowed, a predatory gleam, catching the light, and Aaron's breath caught in his throat. The lion was much larger than he had anticipated, its muscular frame looming menacingly in the dim light. Aaron felt a cold sweat form on his brow as the beast continued to advance. Max growled louder now, his stance firm. He wasn't going to let anything happen to Aaron. The growl of the mountain lion echoed through the trees, reverberating off the trunks like a warning shot. Max's growl deepened in response, his body poised and ready to strike. The lion, with its piercing yellow eyes, seemed to sense Max's defiance and paused. It was a standoff, silent, deadly, and filled with the kind of tension that made the world feel like it had slowed down. Aaron's mind raced. What were the chances of survival? The mountain lion was a skilled hunter, and there was no way he could match its speed or strength. It was only a matter of time before it pounced, but Max, his loyal German shepherd, was standing strong, not backing down. The bond between them was undeniable, but Aaron had to wonder, would it be enough to overcome the primal forces of nature? Max barked sharply, the sound ringing through the forest. The mountain lion's eyes narrowed, its gaze flickering between Aaron and the dog. Then, without warning, the lion lunged forward with terrifying speed, its powerful legs propelling it through the air. Max responded instantly, moving to intercept, his teeth bared and his body coiled with the strength of a fighter. The two collided with a thunderous impact. Max and the lion locked in a struggle for dominance. Aaron's heart pounded in his chest as he watched helplessly. The sheer strength of the mountain lion overwhelmed Max, sending him skidding backward into the dirt. Blood began to stain the earth beneath them, and Aaron's breath caught in his throat. "Max!" Aaron screamed, his voice hoarse with panic. He couldn't just stand there and watch. The mountain lion seemed unfazed by the dog's defense. It swiped at Max with its claws, raking through the dog's thick fur. Max yelped in pain, quickly regained his footing. He wasn't giving up, not now. Aaron looked around frantically for anything that could help. There was nothing. No rocks, no branches. Nothing that would make a difference against the power of this wild predator. His only hope was Max, who had saved him countless times from nothing more than the loneliness of the wilderness, was now the one in danger. Aaron's stomach twisted in fear as the lion lunged again, this time aiming for Max's neck. Time seemed to slow as Max twisted, just narrowly avoiding the lethal jaws of the beast. Max bit down hard on the lion's leg, trying to hold it back, but the lion's massive claws slashed at Max's side. For a moment, Aaron's world turned to chaos. He couldn't bear to watch as the dog that always protected him now found himself in the fight of his life. But then, something incredible happened. Max didn't give up. Max fought with everything he had, his body battered, but his will unbroken. The mountain lion tried to shake him off, but Max's teeth clung to its leg, determined not to let go. The lion roared in frustration, swiping at Max with its claws, but the dog held on, his eyes fierce with defiance. Aaron could hardly believe the sight. His dog, his loyal companion, was taking on the predator head-on, unwilling to back down. The sheer tenacity of Max left Aaron in awe, but it also filled him with a sense of helplessness. Max was injured, and Aaron knew they couldn't keep this up much longer. "Max, you have to get up," Aaron shouted, his voice breaking as he saw the blood pooling beneath the dog. But Max didn't move. He couldn't. He was struggling just to stay conscious, let alone fight back. The lion swiped again, landing a deep gash across Max's side. Max whimpered, but managed to roll out of reach, narrowly avoiding a deadly bite. Aaron's heart was in his throat as he watched the battle unfold, unsure how much longer Max could hold on. In that moment of panic, Aaron did the only thing he could think to do. He grabbed a sharp stick from the ground nearby. It wasn't much, but it was something. He rushed forward, closing the distance between him and the two fighting animals. The lion, focused on Max, didn't notice Aaron until it was too late. Aaron jabbed the stick into the lion's side, distracting it for just a moment. The mountain lion let out an enraged growl and turned on him, but Max took advantage of the opportunity. With a final, desperate surge of strength, Max leapt onto the lion's back, sinking his teeth deep into the predator's neck. The lion screamed in pain, thrashing beneath Max's weight. For the first time in this battle, the predator seemed to falter. Aaron rushed to Max's side, tears streaming down his face as he saw the toll this fight had taken on the dog. Max's side was bloodied, and his movements were slow and labored. But Max didn't let go. In a moment of pure instinct and bravery, Max was securing victory for them both. As the lion weakened, it became clear that it was no longer the hunter, it was the hunted. Max had done the impossible. The mountain lion's once threatening roars turned into desperate growls as it tried to free itself from Max's unrelenting grip. But Max wasn't letting go. Not today. Aaron, still holding the stick, stood at the ready, knowing that this was the moment. The lion's movement slowed, its energy drained by the incredible force of Max's defense. Max's teeth sank even deeper into the lion's throat. With one final, powerful twist, the mountain lion collapsed onto the forest floor, lifeless. Max stood over the defeated predator, bloodied but victorious. His chest heaved with exhaustion, his muscles trembling from the strain of the battle. He was hurt, badly hurt, but he was still standing. Aaron dropped to his knees beside him, his hands shaking as he gently stroked the dog's fur. "You did it, buddy," Aaron whispered, voice thick with emotion. He didn't know what he would have done without Max. The bond they shared was deeper than words could express, and today, that bond had saved their lives. Max's tail gave a weak wag, a silent acknowledgement of his victory. The battle was over, but for Aaron, it was just beginning. He had to get Max out of here, to safety, and to healing. Max stood victorious, but the victory was bittersweet. His body was battered, and blood stained his fur. The mountain lion lay motionless at his feet, a predator now vanquished by the very animal it had sought to kill. Aaron's heart still raced, adrenaline coursing through his veins as he tried to process everything that had just happened. The silence of the forest felt deafening, but it was a welcome change from the chaos they had just endured. Aaron quickly moved toward Max, his eyes scanning the dog's injuries. Max was clearly in pain, his breath shallow and labored. Aaron knelt beside him, his hands trembling as he gently touched the dog's side, where deep gashes had torn through the skin. The wound was severe, but not fatal. Still, Aaron's heart broke, seeing his loyal friend so injured. He had always been the one to protect Max, and now Max had done the unthinkable. He had protected him. Max looked up at Aaron, his eyes filled with a quiet strength. His tail wagged weakly, but there was no joy in it, only exhaustion. It was clear the fight had drained the last of his energy. But Max wasn't a quitter. Aaron knew this better than anyone. "You're a hero, Max," Aaron whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Max didn't respond. Instead, he leaned into Aaron's touch, seeking comfort in the only way he knew how, through their unbreakable bond. Aaron stood up slowly, glancing around. The forest was eerily quiet now. It was as if nature itself was taking a deep breath, giving them a moment of respite. The danger had passed, but the journey back to safety wasn't going to be easy. With a deep sigh, Aaron carefully lifted Max into his arms. The dog whimpered in pain, but he didn't resist. He trusted Aaron, and in that moment, that trust was all they had. Slowly, step by step, Aaron began the long trek back to their cabin. The weight of Max in his arms was heavier than it had ever been before, but it was a weight he would carry gladly. As they walked, the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor. Aaron didn't know how far they still had to go, but he was determined to get Max home, to get him the help he needed. The road ahead would be long, but Aaron would not let his dog down. He couldn't, not after everything Max had done for him. The walk back to the cabin was a slow and painful journey. Every step felt like it took an eternity as Aaron carefully cradled Max in his arms, trying not to jostle him too much. Max's breathing was steady but shallow, and Aaron could feel the heat radiating off his body. The dog was still alive, but it was clear that the battle had taken its toll. Max had fought with everything he had, and now Aaron had to do the same. When they finally reached the cabin, Aaron rushed inside, his mind focused solely on getting Max the care he needed. He gently placed Max on the couch, his hands still shaking from the intensity of the day. Max let out a soft whimper, his eyes fluttering as he tried to stay awake. Aaron quickly ran to the first aid kit, his hands moving quickly, but with purpose. He knew what had to be done. He had to clean the wounds, stop the bleeding, and do everything he could to ease Max's pain. But as he worked, he couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of guilt. He had let his guard down, and for a moment, he had doubted his ability to protect Max. But Max had proven him wrong. As Aaron bandaged the deep gash on Max's side, he whispered softly to him, "You saved me, buddy. You're my hero." Max looked up at him, his eyes filled with a quiet gratitude. Despite the pain, Max's tail gave a small wag, and it was enough to make Aaron smile. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Aaron stayed by Max's side, comforting him and doing what he could to ease the pain. The cabin was quiet, except for the crackling of the fire in the hearth. Max had fallen asleep, his body curled up on the couch, still exhausted from the ordeal. Aaron sat in the chair next to him, watching the dog sleep. The bond between them had always been strong, but after today, it felt unbreakable. Max had risked everything for him, and Aaron knew he would do the same. In that moment, Aaron realized that Max wasn't just a dog, he was family. Days passed, and Max's condition slowly improved. The gashes on his side healed, and his energy slowly began to return. Aaron stayed close, making sure Max had everything he needed: food, water, and most importantly, his unwavering attention. Max's injuries were severe, but his spirit was unbroken. Every day, Aaron would take Max outside for short walks around the cabin, letting him rest in the sunshine. Max loved the outdoors, and it seemed like the fresh air and the warmth of the sun brought him comfort. He still had his moments of weakness, but he was recovering, and that was all that mattered. One evening, as the sun began to set, Aaron sat on the porch, watching Max chase after a stick. The dog was running with the same energy he had before the fight. His tail wagged furiously as he leapt into the air, catching the stick in mid-flight. Aaron smiled as he watched. It was as if the events of that day had never happened. Max was back to being the playful, loyal dog he had always been, and Aaron couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. "You're amazing, buddy," Aaron said softly, his voice filled with admiration. Max trotted over, stick still in his mouth, and dropped it at Aaron's feet. The dog's eyes sparkled with that same fiery loyalty, as if to say, "I'll always protect you no matter what." Aaron reached down and scratched behind Max's ears, feeling the warmth of their bond. Max's eyes softened, and he rested his head against Aaron's lap, content to just be near him. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, golden light across the landscape. It was a peaceful moment, one that Aaron would never forget. Max had saved his life. Max had shown him what true loyalty and bravery looked like, and in return, Aaron promised that he would always protect his hero, no matter what. As they sat together on the porch, the world seemed to stand still for a moment. There was no more danger, no more fear. There was only the quiet, comforting presence of a dog who had given everything to save his owner, and for that, Max would always be Aaron's hero. If you believe in the power of loyalty, incredible bond between humans and animals, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories of animal heroes. What do you think of Max's bravery? Drop a comment below and let us know what animal hero has touched your heart the most. Don't forget to share this story with a friend who needs a reminder of the extraordinary love our pets show us every day.